Good Sunday morning, everyone. My name is Jen Youngsun Rue, and I use the pronouns she and her. And today I'd like to ask Miles to come up and help light the chalice this morning. Hey, Miles, thank you. The flaming chalice is a symbol of our living tradition. Let us bring it to life this morning, remembering that we join with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists as we perform this simple act. May its cup hold the vision for our community. May the light guide us on a path of courage. And now let's say together the words of our mission, which affirm our shared purpose. Empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve the world.
Beautiful. My name is Tina Dio, and I use she, her pronouns. Have you ever received unwelcome advice? Yeah. Have you ever been doing something well or reasonably well, or maybe not very well at all, but at least perfectly happily, only to have someone else tell you all the ways that you were doing it wrong? Yes. Yeah. I hear emphatic yeses. Yep. Have you ever been helped a little too helpfully by someone when you didn't really want their help? Yes. Yeah. You're not alone, y'all. That's how Motke felt. Who's Motke? Well, Motke is a nickname for boys or men who are named Mordecai. Today, we're going to hear a story about a fish peddler named Motke Rabinowitz. The story was written by a person named Sims Tabek. Sims heard this story once upon a time from his Zeta, his grandpa. In fact, his Zeta told him a lot of stories when Sims was a boy. Sims' Zeta and his Zeta's stories come from the Jewish tradition. Those stories have some Yiddish words in them. Do you know what Yiddish is? Anyone? Yeah, some people, yeah. You've already learned one Yiddish word just right now. Zeta means grandpa. You may even know more Yiddish than that. Do you know what a klutz is? Yeah? Okay. Anyone want to say what that is? No? Clumsy. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Have you ever heard the word chutzpah? Chutzpah. Yeah? All right. Yeah. Do you know how to, what is?
From New York. What do you want?
That's awesome. Chutzpah, yes. So what does chutzpah mean?
It's gall beyond gall.
Gall beyond gall.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And have you ever said yada, yada, yada when someone was talking too much? Yeah. Well, that's Yiddish. Almost all of us speak a little bit of Yiddish, even though we may not know it. Many Yiddish words have become part of everyday English. Yiddish is part of this story about Motke Rabinowitz, the fish peddler, because this story is full of kibitzers and cockamamie. That's more Yiddish. A kibitzer thinks she knows better than you. A kibitzer gives advice that's not very good and that nobody asked for in the first place. A kibitzer is always sticking their nose in other people's business. You may be wondering, so what is Yiddish? Sims Tabak thinks of Yiddish as a big pot of soup with a little of this and a little of that thrown in. German dialect mixed up with a little French and a little Italian. Yiddish was once the everyday language of the Jewish people who lived in Eastern Europe. Their lives were sometimes difficult, but they struggled on and found strength in their songs, their dances, and most of all, the stories, just like the stories that Sims Tabak heard from his Zeta.
Whew, good thing. We finished singing because I think Motki is coming right now. Yes.
You wanna come up?
Yes, there.
You want to come up and help me?
Here he comes.
Do I have any fisher helpers? Any fellow fishermen want to come up and help me out? Any fishermen want to come and join me? We got
Motki
fish.
was a fish peddler.
Fish for sale. Fish.
Being a fish peddler meant that he would go out in the boat early in the morning, catch some fish, and then take them on his old pushcart around the streets of the village, selling them from door to door. By afternoon, he usually had sold all of his fish, all but one, which he would take home for his own tasty supper. Motki was an excellent fisher and caught many fish. As he propelled his heavy pushcart laden with fish through the streets, he often found himself wishing that he could sell them in a way that would be easier on his poor, aching back. One day, Motki had an idea. Why not sell his pushcart and have a little storefront, a fish stand? How easy it would be then to sell his fish. So that's exactly what Motki did. He looked around the town marketplace, found an excellent empty little shop for his fish stand, and began to set up. But then, noticing the other shops near his, he realized that people might not see his fish in the middle of so many other things for sale.
Yeah, why not do a little advertising? I know, I need a sign. Yes. Should I put Rabinowitz on it? No, not everyone knows I'm a fish peddler. I wonder, do you know what I should put on my sign? What should I put on my sign? A rainbow? That's a good idea. A rainbow picture? That could go on my sign too. Okay. Anyone else? What should go on my sign? Any ideas? Fish? Fish. Okay. Did a sign.
These are all such great ideas. And Motki had asked for them, right? So he thought them through long and hard. And here's what he did. He painted a sign to hang over the doorway of his little store, and it had these words.
All right. Ha 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 ha. I know. Yes. Okay. Uh-oh. Fresh fish sold here daily.
Nice. Motki had just hung the sign over the door when his first customer arrived. He began to sell his catch for the day, and among the steady stream of customers, a kibitzer passed by.
What kind of cockamamie sign is that?
What? Why do you say that?
Fresh fish sold here daily? Fresh? Why say fresh? Of course it's fresh. Would you sell fish that wasn't fresh? Your customers will get suspicious, no?
Yes. I mean, no. I mean, you're absolutely right.
So Moki painted out the word fresh and replaced the sign over the door, settling back behind his counter of fish. His sign now read,
Fish sold here daily.
Moki went out the next morning to fish, and as he carried his catch to the store, he gazed up at his sign proudly. It didn't look half bad with the word fresh painted out. And as his customers arrived, he actually forgot all about the sign until a second kibitzer came by.
Hi, I like your sign, Moki.
Thank you.
But should you say sold? Of course you sell fish. This is your store, no? Every merchant here is selling their goods, no? You don't give your fish away for free. Do you really need to tell people that you're selling the fish?
Yes. I mean, no. I mean, of course.
Once again, Moki took down his sign and painted out the word sold.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Fish here daily.
As he looked at the twice altered sign, Moki thought that keeping 3 words out of the original 5 wasn't so bad. It was short and to the point. So he nodded to himself, yeah, maybe the sign is better now. As the morning turned to afternoon, Moki sold a number of his fish to the parents and cooks in the village. He began to feel quite satisfied that his sign was drawing many customers until a third kibitzer came by. That kibitzer first complimented Moki on his handsome sign, but eventually the kibitzer quizzed him.
Say, Rabinowitz, why do you say here on the sign? Fish here daily? Are you selling fish somewhere else too? Where else would you be if not here?
Yes, I mean, no. You're right, you've got a good point.
So Moki painted out the word here.
All right. Fish daily.
As he packed up his little storefront for the day and wrapped up his fish to take home for supper, Moki felt slightly puzzled. He couldn't quite remember how his magnificent 5-word sign had now been reduced to just the words fish and daily.
So one way that we build our community and make each other strong is not by calling each other things like cockamamie and klutz, but instead using kind and compassionate words to speak to one another. Sharing our joys and our sorrows is not about calling names and giving advice. Rather, it's a way to enter into a relationship of kindness. When we share the special or sad moments in our lives and invite people to see into our hearts, then we're also asking for their support. We're letting them know that outside of worship, whether it's at coffee hour or over the phone during the week, we need them to offer their friendship and strength and listening ears. So if you didn't have a chance yet to come up to the joys and sorrows table before worship started, I invite you to come up now. And kids and youth and folks of all ages, you may write in the book, light a candle, or place a stone in water. Those joining from home can write into the Zoom chat, and during the week, anyone can go to the pastoral care portal on our website to let the ministers or the lay pastoral associates know you need some support. So please, we invite you to come on up and light a candle, put a rock in the water, or write in the book or online. May each prayer expressed in this ritual and those that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts be heard and held.
So, as you may have suspected, the story of Motki and his sign is not quite done. After a somewhat restless sleep and a morning of successful fishing, he carried his catch of fish to his new little store with its 3 times altered sign. He had just sold a handful of herring to a neighbor when he spotted another kibitzer approaching.
Hey, Rabinowitz. Your sign there, it's a little verblunget.
Verblunget is a Yiddish word that means confused.
I mean, fish daily. What do you mean by daily? If fish are fresh, they don't come in and go out weekly, do they? And your fish are fresh, aren't they?
Yes. I mean, no. I mean, of course.
After all, Motki reasoned to himself, he went out in his boat every single day and the whole village knew it. So perhaps there was no point in taking up space on his sign with that bit of unnecessary information. And so Motki took down the sign, as he had done 3 times already, and painted out the word daily. Now Motki's sign said only,
Fish!
Motki was looking up at the sign, reckoning with his growing suspiciousness that something about it now looked funny. The kibitzer had called the sign Farblanchet, confused, but that's exactly how Motki was starting to feel. And then a 5th kibitzer strolled by.
Pardon me, Rabinowitz, but why did you put up a useless sign that says fish when you can smell it from like a mile away?
Why indeed, thought Rabinowitz apologetically. So Motki, the fish peddler, took down the sign altogether. How fortunate he was to get such good advice. How helpful his neighbors were. What luck that he had others to guide him in his fish peddling efforts. Phew. But that is not the end of the story. The next morning, Motki was sitting in his little store that was filled with his morning's catch, patiently waiting and waiting for customers. Another kibitzer came by, someone who had not previously seen Motki's beautiful, then shrinking, and now absent sign.
Rabinowitz, it looks like you don't have any customers.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. The last few days I've had brisk sales, but this morning, nothing.
And the kibitzer asked,
So why don't you hang out a sign?
Take a bow.
Thank you, kibitzers, and thank you, fish peddler helpers. You did a great job today.
Mask. My name is Daniel Blades. I am the president of your board of trustees, and today I have an incredible pleasure to honor Reverend Lois Van Leer. Then. So as you probably all remember, and if you don't, I'll remind you then, at our annual meeting this past year, we conferred the honor of Minister Emerita to Rev Lo, and today she is here to accept that honor then. So Rev Lo, you brought much to this congregation as our minister. Your warmth and approachable demeanor taught us to try, fail, try again, and fail better. You showed us that we are a dynamic and lovable congregation, and you loved us into being our better selves. Your legacy as our minister included more effective communication and clarity in governance. You helped this congregation get through some troubling financial times, and your commitment to justice, equity, and inclusion inspired us to build upon our history and our aspirations. Your leadership and love brought this congregation to being ready to call our first settled minister in a decade. We were blessed to have you as our minister, and we are honored to have you as our Minister Emerita.
I'll wait. Thank you. Thank you, Eugene.
The title of Minister Emerita is granted to a minister by a vote of the membership of the congregation in recognition of service to their spiritual community. The word emeritus comes from a Latin word used to describe those who have completed their term of duty. Rev Lo, now as Minister Emerita of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene, is now welcome to attend worship and other church events as she wishes, but there is no pressure and no expectation of her attendance or her involvement with the church, though the invitation to do so remains open. Rev Lo may, in consultation with the settled minister, return to the pulpit as a guest preacher. She may be invited to take a ceremonial role at major church events. But again, there's no pressure. There's no pressure and there's no formal expectation to do so.
I am grateful and honored to receive the title of Minister Emerita from the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. My official ministerial relationship with this congregation ended with my retirement on June 20th, 2021. My role now is to support the ministry of your current and any future settled ministers. Rev Jen, I can't thank you enough for saying yes to this congregation. And Rev Jen is the one now who is responsible and has been for the well-being of you, all of you, for the rites of passage of our lives here, and other religious ceremonies that are a part of congregational life. If I am invited to the life cycle events of members of the congregation, such as weddings and memorial services, I will attend them when I'm able. However, I will decline any requests to participate in or officiate at any such events unless specifically invited to by Rev Jen or future settled ministers. I do so not with sadness or regret, but with respect for the ministry of others who succeed me and for those clergy who have preceded me and shown my ministry the same respect. In gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you. Rev Jen just said to me that it is Clergy Appreciation Day. Did anybody know that? I sure didn't. I'd like to give a little love here in appreciation of this clergy person right here who said yes.
So as our board is seated, I want you to think about and try to remember what the Yiddish word kibitzer means. Remember? What does it mean? Reb Lo's going like this.
Simon.
Bingo! Winner, winner. When our service began this morning, it was explained that kibitzers think they know better than you do. Kibitzer gives advice that may not be very good and nobody asked for in the first place, sticking themselves into other people's business. In our story about Moki Rabinowitz, the fish peddler, so many kibitzers gave advice that his sign for his business made less and less sense. They gave advice that he never asked for and really wasn't very good. That's a bad combination. And maybe they were trying to help, but it only ended up confusing things.
Sometimes we can be kibitzers. We think we know the answer to someone else's problems, or we suggest what they should do before they've asked us, or we give advice only when it's too late. Can you think of a time when you did any of these things? Yeah. So there's another religious tradition, Buddhism, that has something to teach us about when to speak and when to keep silent. In the Buddhist tradition, Right speech means knowing how and when to use our words. You can probably guess what right speech is, since all of us know something about when communication feels right and when it feels, well, not right. In the Buddhist tradition, the definition of right speech differs slightly from teacher to teacher. But there are 4 conditions that most Buddhists agree on. Do you want to guess the characteristics of right speech? Any guesses? Positive, yeah.
Right. That's a good start.
Yeah.
So according to Buddhist teaching, right speech has some specific qualities. First, our words need to be truthful.
That's pretty easy. Most of us know when we're saying something that's true and when we're saying something that's not so true.
Second, right speech is speech that's kind, that promotes harmony. As our song put it, we can speak with bravest fire, but if our words don't have love, then our voices are like sounding brass, clanging cymbals. Everyone here has probably been on the receiving end of words that hurt your feelings or made you feel put down. Maybe you have even been the one who has said those words. Words matter, and there are many ways to phrase a message. Kind speech happens when we come from love and make the effort to find words that leave the other person feeling good.
So you can be kind and say what's true. That's a lot of leeway. Let's learn the other parts of right speech to see if things stay so simple.
The third part of right speech is that we speak in a timely manner, that we speak up in the moment when people are actively trying to find answers or solutions, not later when the problem is worse or compounded or it's too late to really help.
I get it. So you mean if I accidentally break something, I should tell someone right away and not wait for them to find it a few days later?
Yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
right.
Got it.
And there's one more part, the fourth part. Our words become right speech when they're helpful or useful. We speak when there's a reasonable chance of our words being beneficial to another, when that person really needs to know something that we know and wants our input. But again, don't forget that part about kindness. Sometimes we give advice that makes us look good, but puts the other person down. Speech that is truly useful, truly helpful, makes the other person and the relationship between you stronger.
So what does that have to do with Moki trying to sell fish?
So, you kibitzers over here, all right? You probably thought you were just being honest when you advised Moki on his sign, right? No. No? You didn't think that? No? No? No. See? There you go. And you were timely, that's for sure. You spoke up right away. You didn't waste any time giving him your opinion. But in the end, I don't feel or think that Moki felt himself that he had received kind and helpful feedback. He just ended up feeling verblanged, lost, confused, and he didn't sell as many fish.
So does right speech remind you of anything? Does it remind you of anything that we do here in this Unitarian Universalist congregation? Here's a hint. It's another 2-word phrase that begins with the word right. Anyone?
Right speech.
Right speech, yep. Yeah, that's
Close.
on the right track, yeah. Right relations. Ooh, yes, yes. Right relationship is important in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. Here's why. We Unitarian Universalists don't all have to believe the same things, but we do share what's called a covenant, a solemn promise to care for each other. We show our care and our love for each other by treating each other with respect, but also by communicating well. And some Unitarian Universalists call that right relationship.
So near your seat or under your seat, you will find a fish and a pencil. And for our friends on Zoom, you can just type this into the chat. So I invite you to take a moment now and reflect on this question. So think of a time when you felt sad or lonely or upset. What words did someone say to you to make you feel loved? What words coming from someone here in this community or someone at home or maybe someone at school helped to make you feel better? And for you grown-ups, another way to think about it is, what words have made you feel cherished and feel valued? So go ahead and take a minute to write that word or a few words on your fish. And remember, if you're sitting next to someone who needs a little help, please do help them. And then on your way out of the sanctuary, you can put your fish in our net over there. And Zoom friends, we will write your words on fish and we'll put it over there so you can be part of the big catch too. Please make sure to join us for Revlo's celebration cake. It'll be on the playground. Cake! It's going to be on the playground, which is the west end of the building. And now let's say together our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, my friends, may love guide us from sunrise into the night. May hope inside us lead the way to that love. May the words from our mouths and the meditations of our hearts and the work of our hands make visible our love for each other in our community and in our world. Go in peace, my friends, and don't forget cake.